Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The biggest story of the week, the archiving of the Vice President's impeachment. For Senate Minority Leader Tito Sotto, there's still a difficult but possible way to revive it. While President Marcos says the Supreme Court's ruling blocking the trial did not say Sara Duterte is innocent of corruption allegations.
And residents of a once quiet village in Mandaluyong are up in arms over a planned condo construction in their area. They say it is a threat to their peace and safety.
And the government is yet to have a crystal clear plan on what to do with online gambling. The president says he would need the help of stakeholders, including the church, in crafting a policy to regulate it.
The merits of the case were not examined by the Supreme Court. It just talked about procedure.
Marami pong seryosong kahinaan at kamalian yung desisyon.
Their vote is to archive because of the Supreme Court decision. Eh kung nagbago ang Supreme Court decision, baliktad lahat.
President Bongbong Marcos has spoken on the Supreme Court's ruling that temporarily blocked the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. The chief executive made it clear the Supreme Court's decision only addressed procedural issues of the complaint and not the allegations against his former running mate. Marcos said people have to understand that the Supreme Court dismissed the impeachment case based on technicalities. But whether Duterte is guilty or not remains unresolved. The president, however, did not elaborate further when asked about the corruption allegations against the VP, saying there's a commission on audit and other government agencies that can flag such misconduct. Marcos also said it again. He is washing his hands off impeachment proceedings.
The merits of the case were not examined by the Supreme Court. This doesn't mean this did not decide the merits of the case. It just talked about procedure. So the procedure was faulty, was lacking. So yun ang assessment ng Supreme Court. Again, there has been no trial. So the merits of the case have not been examined, tried, adjudicated, argued, discussed. So accountability just doesn't come into it. People have to understand it is a procedural question. Sinabi, mali yung date, hindi tama ang pagkagawa ng House. I keep telling you, the executive has no role in this. The president has no role. I'm an impeachable officer. I cannot involve myself in any of this. So, it's really the Supreme Court, the Senate, and the House. The Supreme Court has decided, and like I said.
Meantime, Makabayan lawmakers and other progressive groups have also asked the Supreme Court to revisit its ruling that struck down the Duterte impeachment complaint. The motion for reconsideration is based on three main arguments. There was no grave abuse of discretion, the one-year bar rule does not apply, and the House has exclusive discretion to endorse and transmit the complaint to the Senate. The MR likewise argues that the High Tribunal's decision undermines the separation of powers among branches of government and makes it harder to hold impeachable officials accountable.
Marami pong seryosong kahinaan at kamalian yung desisyon na magkakaroon ng epekto sa hinaharap, sa pagpapanagot sa mga pinakamataas na opisyal. Sa halip na mapadali ang impeachment, na yun ang intensyon ng Constitution. Kaya nga ginawang 1/3 lang yung threshold para mabilis na ma-impeach ang isang opisyal, mas mabilis na ma-impeach ang isang opisyal, lalo pa ngang pinapahirap dahil sa naging desisyon na ito.
Ito ang tanong lang, kung maibabasura ito, ang tanong dyan, asan yung 612.5 million? Ito yung tanong ng taong bayan Kaya hindi pwede itong i-archive, hindi pwede itong itago. Kailangan talagang sagutin ni Sara Duterte itong impeachment. Tapos, siyempre, ito lang yung nag-iisang, mabilis pamamaraan para panagutin ang mga impeachable officials doon sa kanilang pagwawaldas ng pondo ng mamamayan.
Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Tito Sotto is confident the archived impeachment complaint can be revived. With majority of senators adhering to the SC decision and voting to set aside the complaint, Soto says it is but logical for them to vote for its revival if the High Court's decision is reversed.
May paraan para kunin yun. A majority vote on a motion to their vote is to archive because the decision of the Supreme Court decision. Kung nagbago ang Supreme Court decision, baliktad lahat sa sinabi nila. So they will have to agree. Pinakamaganda, matino na gagawin namin is i-retrieve namin sa archive, mag-convene kami as an impeachment court, tapos desisyon na namin yung sasabihin ng defense na motion to dismiss.
Will senators follow the Supreme Court if it does reverse its ruling on the Duterte impeachment complaint? Let's ask one of the senators who voted to archive it. Welcome again to the Big Story, Senator Bato Dela Rosa.
Good evening, Ces, at sa ating mga taga-subaybay. Good evening.
Senator Soto, I hope you heard what he said, but let me just recall it for you na kung sakasakali po na ma-reverse, improbable but still possible, the Supreme Court decision, will you vote to hear the impeachment complaint?
Well, as a process, no? It took an plenary action to archive the case. So it will also take a plenary action to disarchive or to retrieve the case from the archives. So kapag plenary action, ibig sabihin majority vote. So kung mapag-usapan at majority vote for the retrieval at pagbubuhay ng kaso na yan, din walang problema. Gagawin po namin yan.
Pero para sa inyo, hindi dapat yung impeachment court but rather the Senate as a legislative body?
Well, the Senate as a legislative body ang nag-archive. So, nararapat lamang na the Senate as the Senate will be the one to retrieve it from the archives.
But how will you vote, Senator Bato? No? Kasi sabi nga, ang punto kasi dito ni Minority Leader Tito Sen, ang sabi niya, since sinabi ninyo, sundan ng Supreme Court. Meaning kung ni-reverse ng Supreme Court yung sarili niya, dapat sundan din yon. So will you vote to revive it kung mag-reverse ang Korte Suprema?
Kapag nag-reverse ang Korte Suprema, sino ba ako na hindi susunod sa Korte Suprema? Di ba? Susunod ako. Walang problema. Kapag nag-reverse na decision ang Korte Suprema, susundin ko ang Korte Suprema. Kung nag-reverse, ha? Pero malabo mangyari yan dahil unanimous decision, in bank unanimous decision, 13-0. So do you think kalahati ng 13 pwede mag-reverse na kanilang decision? Ewan ko. Pero sige lang. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. So that means you are amenable to a Senate impeachment court convening to listen to the charges against the against the Vice President.
Kapag ni-reverse yung decision ng Supreme Court through the MR na ginawa ng House of Representatives. Wala problema. Kung ni-reverse nila, alangan naman, hindi ako susunod sa pag sinabi ng Supreme Court ngayon na immediately executory yung kanilang decision, sumunod kami. Immediately executory. Ngayon, kung i-reverse nila at sabihin nila, immediately executory yung kanilang pag-reverse, then gagawin natin yan. Wala problema. Susunod tayo. Nirespeto natin ang Supreme Court. Mahirap yung susunod lang tayo kapag gusto natin, tapos kapag hindi natin gusto, hindi tayo susunod.
Okay.
Hindi tayo lawmaker diyan, lawbreaker tayo diyan kapag ganun tayo.
The reason po we're asking is because you are against holding the trial. You have said it time and time again. So linilinaw lang po namin.
Yeah, walang problema. at the end of the day, kung mabubuhay yan, it will boil down to voting pa rin. Magbubutuhan pa rin yan. Kaya let's respect ng decision ng impeachment court. We respect the decision of the Supreme Court, and also we hope that the people will respect the decision of the impeachment court once it will be reconvened and the trial will proceed and decision will be handed down.
But Senator, were you satisfied? How would you assess the voting and the debates that happened last Wednesday? Itong pag-archive, is that a fair decision or para patas po no, sa lahat ng partido?
Yes, nagiging para bang we meet halfway. Kaya napa-agree yung minority dahil nga doon sa amendment ni Senator Alan Cayetano. Inamend niya yung motion ni Senator Marcolita because the original motion was motion to dismiss. Ngayon, pumalag yung minority. Ngayon, nag-offer ng middle solution si Senator Alan Cayetano by amending the motion into motion to archive. Kasi pag sinabing motion to archive, yes, patay. Good as synonymous to dismissal yan. Pero still, pwedeng bubuhayin. Sa ngayon, patay siya, pero pwede mabuhay. Pwede i-retrieve from the archives. So, pumayag ang minority. So, yun, nagkaroon ng butuhan.
So, in your assessment, everybody happy doon sa nagyari at kinalabasan ng butuhan at debatehan?
Happy, maraming happy, pero meron ding hindi ganong happy dahil meron talagang gusto na outright dismissal dahil nga gusto nilang makapokus agad sa ibang trabaho ang Senado, wala nang iisipin pa na impeachment. Pero sige lang, you cannot own the world. You have shared the world to other people.
Senator, well, it's now the 20th Congress, but the ICC, the possibility of an arrest is still hanging over your head. And former Senator Trillanes said, baka kayo daw ni Senator Go ang sumunod.
Sige lang, go ahead. Kung gusto lang gawin yan, we cannot stop them from doing that. If they want to commit the same mistake again, as grave as the mistake that they have committed when they did it to former President Duterte, then they can do it. We will just wait.
Okay, so naghanda na po kayo kasi I remember many interviews ago, Senator, nabanggit nyo nga may mga tumatawag nga sa opisina ninyo, hindi nyo lang sinasagot. So since then, everything's been quiet, wala kayong natatanggap na mga weird phone calls?
Sa ngayon, hinahanap namin yung tao na tumatawag, na siging nangungulit sa mga pulis natin na gustong gawin ng affidavit yung mga pulis na magdiin sa amin. Hinahanap namin yung Glenn Cala. May Glenn Cala na pangalan na investigator ng ICC. Nandito ngayon sa Pilipinas. I don't know kung saan nagtatago yan. Sino nagtatago. Andito nakikialam sa atin kahit wala na silang jurisdiction sa Pilipinas. Andito ngayon. So, sige lang, mahanap rin natin yan.
May you say the name again, Senator?
Ha?
Ano pong pangalan?
Glenn Cala.
Pwede pa spell?
Glenn Cala.
Glenn?
Foreigner.
Glenn K-A-L-A. Glenn Cala. Investigador daw siya ng ICC na sige tawag sa ating mga pulis. At yung mga pulis ay pumunta sa opisina kung nagreklamo, humingi ng tulong dahil ang kulit daw nitong tao na ito na alam naman nila na walang jurisdiction, bakit kinukulit itong mga pulis para gumawa ng statement laban sa war on drugs.
Kailan to? Sen, kailan po yun? When did this happen? Yung pumunta?
May mga pulis na pumunta sa opisina ko. Andito may tinatago yan nila. Tinatago nila yung Glenn Cala na yan. Kung sino magkumukup yan, yan yung mga tao na mga traidor sa ating soberenya. yan yung mga tao na traidor sa ating soberenya, ang nagtatago, ang nag-facilitate sa stay at sa ginagawa ng Glenn Cala na yan dito sa ating bansa.
Pinoy siya? Si Glenn Cala?
Hindi, European. European yan, Glenn Cala. Maraming binigay na sa akin na mga text, mga email, yung tao na yan sa mga pulis na pumunta sa akin at nagreklamo. Pinabasa sa akin yung mga text ng tao na yan na pwede daw silang bayaran kung mag-kuhan lang sila, mag-execute ng affidavit laban sa amin. So, sige lang. Tingnan natin kung gaano kagaling yung Glenn Cala na yan.
Senator, while we're still on the issue of the drug war, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla has said, dun po sa search para sa remains ng mga missing sabongeros, there may be an intersection of the missing sabongeros case and the drug war. Baka daw meron ding mga remains na makita na victims ng drug war. Ano po ang reaksyon ninyo dito?
Maganda kung makita nila yan. Ipahanap sa kanila. Hirap na sila maghanap ng remains ng missing sabongero. Yung sa drug war na naman gusto nilang malaman. Nothing is stopping them. Instead of speculating, they should provide the concrete evidence para lahat naman tayo, kahit ako. Kung yan ay victim ng drug war at pinatay, dapat mabigyan talaga yan ng hustisya. Hanapan natin yung hustisya. Lahat tayo naghahanap ng hustisya.
Ano pong comment ninyo sa, several high-ranking policemen are now facing administrative charges sa NAPOLCOM and may also be involved in the missing sabongeros case?
Well, kung talagang totoong involved sila, din pananagutan nila yan. In fact, nag-start I have to remind you again na nag-start yung investigation ng missing sabongero by my committee on public order and dangerous drugs. Ako ang nauna nag-imbestiga niyan at na-establish doon sa committee investigation ko na may mga pulis nga na-involved at yung nga nakasuhan yung mga pulis na taga Batangas, yung mga operative ng Batangas Police PPO, Intel operative na involved doon sa missing yung anong tawag noon, yung nagtatanggap ng bet ng yung master operator ba yun? Master
agent.
Na taga
Master agent
yung
po.
Master agent ng yung si kalimutan ko pero apelyido nun. Diyan sa San Pablo, Laguna.
Si Lasco.
Si Lasco po. Lasco, sir.
Lasso. So kami, sa committee ko yung nagsimula.
Meron po ba kayong...
But will you, can you recall for us, there was a time, nagkaroon ba kayo ng hidwaan with Gretchen Barreto? There was some sort of reminder or a warning that she made to you during your investigation?
Hindi ko alam kung bakit na baka dahil sa pagmamahal niya kay Atong Ang at nafe-feel niya siguro na naiipit na si Atong Ang yung panahon na yun. That's one way of siguro ginawa niya dahil nagalit siya kung ano-ano na pinagsasabi niya.
There was help me recall, Senator, there was parang an implication that you were protecting them or that you may have been benefiting from Atong Ang?
I am not sabongero. Never ako involved dyan. Kahit tanungin mo sa Atong Ang kung involved ako sa sabong. Never.
Having said that, Senator, may plano ba kayong ipagpatuloy itong investigasyon since mukhang umurong na no? Since then, dahil sa DOJ at sa NAPOLCOM din, now in the 20th Congress, and you still have the same committee, Public Order and Safety, are you planning to continue or hold another hearing into this?
titingnan muna natin, i-obserbahan natin, pero kung maganda naman yung takbo ng kanilang investigation at makapagpahal sila ng kaso, din bakit pa natin guguluhin yung kanilang ginagawa, di ba? Sige lang, mas maganda yun. Pero still, they are still under my oversight committee. So, tinitilan ko lang yung ginagawa nila. Kung okay naman din, go ahead. Maganda yung imbis na guguluhin ko yung ginagawa nila, suportahan mo na lang para matapos na yung problema na yan para for the benefit of the victims.
And before we let you go, Senator, what is your position on online gambling?
Ayaw ko niya.
Do you want a total ban or just stricter regulations?
Kung may makita ako na maganda talaga na flawless na strict talaga na regulation na hindi maisahan, baka makumbinsi ako. Pero the way I look at it right now, wala akong nakitang basta online. Ang hirap talagang i-regulate, ang hirap i-control. Kaya mas mabuti pa siguro, wala na lang yan para walang malulong na mga tao. dami nang nalulong dyan at nagpakamatay dahil sa online gambling. Kawawa ang mga mahirap. Mahirap pa naman palagi na biktima dyan dahil hoping na magkapera sila. At yun na, nalulong.
Senator, balikan ko lang po what you said about Mr. Glenn Cala, an ICC investigator. Actually, he's one of 4 ICC personnel na nabanggit na ni Senator Amy Marcos back in October na nandito nga sa Pilipinas. So, does that mean never na po sila umalis since October? And mukhang humingi pa po daw sila ng security detail from the Philippine government. Would you know if that was granted?
Correct yung sinasabi ni Amy. At yung mga tao na yan na tumutulong sa kanila, yan yung mga taksil sa ating soberenya. Dahil lang sa kanilang ibang agenda, willing silang ipagkanulo yung kanilang mga kapwa Pilipino sa ibang bansa. So yun ang mga tao na dapat managot pagdating sa soberenya.
Ang tumutulong sa kanila, Senator, follow-up sa tanong ni Pauline, ay mga tao ba kawani ba ng gobyerno or ng police? Like, are they government officials that are helping them or private individuals?
Basta, suffice it to say, people from government.
Okay.
People from government.
All right, we thank you for talking to us, Senator Bato Dela Rosa.
Meantime, Vice President Sara Duterte confirmed her father's common-law wife, Hanilet Abansenia, has been barred from visiting him at the ICC detention facility in The Hague. Reports have it that Abansenia was blaming former President Rodrigo Duterte's chief legal counsel, Nicholas Kaufman, for this. Kaufman has declined to comment, quote, for judicial reasons and out of respect for family privacy. VP Sara admits that she is aware of the ban but is not privy to its details.
Ang alam ko lang ay merong order galing sa ICC na ipinagbabawal, kinancel. Merong order na kinancel lahat ng kanyang pagbisita. Hindi ko alam kung ano ang rason dahil hindi pinakita sa amin yung papel kung ano yung rason ng pagbabawal ng pagbisita ni Ms. Hanilet Abansenia.
Meanwhile, the former president's camp has already asked the ICC to remove Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan from his case. In a redacted August 7 filing, Duterte's lawyers say that Khan represented victims of the drug war before becoming an ICC prosecutor in 2021. The defense team claims that Khan failed to disclose this and may have used information from that role in pursuing Duterte's ICC case. Digong's defenders urged the ICC Appeals Chamber to act before the former president's confirmation of charges hearing on September 23. Khan is currently on a self-imposed leave over unrelated sexual misconduct claims.
In other news, China says it has lodged, quote, serious protests over President Bongbong Marcos's recent remarks on Taiwan. Marcos told Indian media outlet First Post that the Philippines will have to get involved if a U.S.-China war erupts over Taiwan. That's because of Taiwan's geographic proximity to the Philippines. Beijing's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin called the comments wrong and provocative, accusing Manila of undermining the One China principle and harming bilateral relations. He also said these remarks contradict the Marcos government's commitment to the One China policy, which recognizes Taiwan as part of China. The superpower also warned against using Filipinos in Taiwan as a pretext for interference. Beijing's embassy in Manila has also lodged formal protests. While the Philippines officially recognizes China, it maintains unofficial economic and cultural ties with Taiwan. This is not the first time Marcos drew flack from Beijing. In January last year, his congratulatory message to Taiwan's newly elected President Lai Ching-te prompted rebuke from China. That ended up in the summoning of the Philippine envoy.
We're going to take a quick break, but coming up, President Marcos ends his 5-day state visit to India, taking home with him millions of dollars in investments and a commitment that this is just the beginning of a productive relation between Manila and New Delhi. That and more are next on The Big Story. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to The Big Story. The Mandaluyong city government said it did not allow the construction of a 72-story condominium building along Ortigas Avenue in Barangay Wakwak. In a statement dated August 5, the City Council denied receiving or having knowledge of any permit issued involving the project. In a recent town hall meeting of the Green Hills East Village homeowners, which included Senator Erwin Tulfo, concerns were raised over the proposed development. Several residents say it is a threat to their area's peace, safety, and livability. They also insisted the construction violated zoning laws in the city. It was in April when news first broke out about the planned residential condominium tower to be built by Shang Properties Incorporated. This is on a 2.5 billion peso property purchased from San Miguel Corporation. It had a 9-year timeline, which residents living near the planned site called a red flag. And to clarify this issue, we will be talking to one of the residents present in the town hall meeting. And joining us is Attorney Kenny Tantuico, Corporate Secretary of the Green Hills East Village Association. He's also chairman of the Governing Documents and Legal Issues Committee. Good evening, Attorney Tantuico, and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening.
All right, there's a slight echo. We hope you can address that. But with the Mandaluyong city government denying any permit given, is this too much hullabaloo over nothing?
Well, not really, no, because we, in the course of our investigations, we have found out that there is an intention on the part of SPI, Shangri-La Properties Incorporated. There is the proposal or intention to put up a 72-story building. We don't know the details yet because we have not seen the entire application. No application has been submitted to us, but yes, there is that intention. And being a residential subdivision, we have to oppose it.
Mm-hmm. What are the reasons for opposing it? Is the structure covered by zoning, this proposed structure covered by zoning rules?
Yes, we have our Mandaluyong City Ordinance number 664. That strip along Ortigas Avenue is classified as C2 commercial, no? Which is, okay, fine, it's commercial, but there are height restrictions. Mm-hmm. For that particular area, I think the height restriction is 18 meters, mm-hmm. or I think 6 stories. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to put up anything in excess of 6 stories there, that's already a violation.
Okay.
So all the more if it's 72 stories high.
Pero ano pong
So,
nangyari
definitely-
dun sa meeting kung saan parang nagkairingan, nagkasigawan? Was there an accusation made against barangay officials who may have... Tell us what exactly occurred in the town hall.
Okay. That meeting was called precisely because we had sought the help of Senator Tulfo, and he gladly obliged to oppose this proposed building. Now, as in the course of his speech, he all of a sudden accused the board of our association as well as the barangay officials of having issued in secrecy a permit or permits or clearances for the construction of that proposed building. Of course, it drew immediate, if not violent, reaction from the board of directors and from the barangay captain herself. And that was the result of that confrontation.
So you were charged, including you. Kasama kayo because you're part of the board.
Correct, yes.
Where did he get his information if you had sought his help? And why did he turn against you?
Exactly.
Okay, please
it was
enlighten us,
really a
but we
big
will
complaint.
also be getting the side of Senator Tulfo. Pero anong nangyari?
According to him, it was the mayor herself who informed him that I think the way he talked about it is in effect saying that this has already been approved by the association and the barangay. Okay, so it's like we can't do anything about it anymore because there's already an approval, which of course it was a false statement. I don't know if the mayor herself said it, because the next day we immediately wrote to the mayor and asked her, Mayor, what's this all about? And up to now, we have not received the response. So what we got instead was that certification from the city council saying that we have not heard or seen or whatever of any barangay clearance or an approval by the association. So that confirms that there is none.
Okay, attorney, let's just clarify. No, when you say the mayor, are we referring to Mayor Benjamin Abalos, who was the mayor until June 30? Or are we talking about Mayora Menchi Abalos, who was the mayor starting July 1 of this year?
Menchi, the incumbent mayor po.
Okay. So she said...
Although I think Senator Tulfo also mentioned, I think, that Mayor Menchi said this has been approved since the time of her father-in-law. So it's really, I mean, we haven't received any response from the mayor, so we cannot really say what is correct and what is not. Although I have to say that one of the residents of the subdivision called up Ben-Hur Abalos and asked him about it. And according to the resident, Ben-Hur Abalos himself said, no, there is no such thing. So that's the situation now.
So what are your next moves as maybe the village homeowners association, no, versus the barangay? Are you planning to address this together? Ano po yung next steps? Kasi it seems like we're actually talking about something that is a ghost project. Kung dinedeny nung city council na may anything, and no one has actually shown you a proposal, and neither have the barangay seen anything. Is there actually...
I just got a copy of an application with the barangay. It has not been acted upon because there are several missing or missing documentary requirements. So the barangay cannot act on it until these documents are submitted. So there is a pending application. So we have to be vigilant about this application. We are going to watch it closely.
Ano po yung date ng application? When was it dated?
Is June 16, And then on June 18, I'm just basing this on handwritten notes on that document. On June 18, the representative of the applicant was informed that these are the missing documents, you have to comply, or else this application will not be acted on. So, and if I may just emphasize, one of those requirements is that they should submit the approval of the residents of the village. No? And obviously, there is no such approval. In fact, we have issued a resolution saying that we are not going to approve any construction that is in excess of the height limits stated in the ordinance. So in short, as of now, we, the association, has or have a rule or a set of rules saying that any lot owner in this subdivision cannot put up a structure that is in excess of 18 meters if it is in the commercial zone, and if it is in the residential zone, then it's lower. Of course, I think the limit is 3 stories. So that's the situation.
So, Attorney, I understand that your position or the position of the residents is that you're not against the development. So what would be the best compromise here? Is it to reduce the number of stories of the building? What would be the next course of action for you?
Right now, as I said, it should comply with City Ordinance number 664, which is 18 meters or 6 stories in the commercial zone.
That, so if they comply, Attorney, okay lang po yun?
Again?
If the developer complies with the zonal laws, that's okay for the residents.
Dagdagan ko lang because commercial yun eh. And this will be actually residential. So paano yun, Attorney?
May commercial zone.
Commercial zone, pero they're gonna build residential. Yes. So kung may
according to the ordinance, that strip, 1 lot deep along Ortigas is commercial. Okay? But whether it's commercial or residential, there is a height restriction. So when you say commercial or residential, it's the activity. Okay? But when there is a height restriction, that's a totally different matter.
Okay.
So we're talking about a height restriction. We have to comply with that. And our resolution says we will strictly enforce it, and regardless of whether or not they will amend that provision on height restrictions.
One final question. Some of your members have threatened to sue Senator Tulfo for libel. Is that going to push through?
If you're talking about threatened, yes, we saw it on the video. And it's not just the residents of the subdivision, because remember, the accusation was against not just the board of directors of our association, but also against the barangay officials, many of whom, or most of whom, are not residents of this subdivision. So we're actually talking about multiple victims here.
But it would seem everything's okay at the end of the day? It was resolved? The angry words?
I don't think so. I can speak for myself because I can only because I cannot speak for the others, but I don't. In fact, what I have heard just maybe a couple of hours ago was that one of the barangay officials already filed a complaint. But I'm not. I just heard that, so it's hearsay, you know. But that's it. So that just answers your question that everything is not okay, or not everything is okay.
All right, we thank you for your time, and we will continue to follow this story as it unfolds. That was Attorney Kenny Tantuico of the Green Hills East Village Association.
Moving on to another story, President Marcos ended his 5-day state visit to India, securing over $400 million in direct investment pledges and renewed commitment to expand cooperation between Manila and New Delhi. And Mr. Marcos is now back in the Philippines. Marcos told the Philippine media delegation he expects more commitments to follow. He called the visit, quote, a new beginning for Philippine-India relations, praising positive talks with Indian leaders and business executives. The The president held bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Draupadi Murmu, where 13 agreements were signed covering defense, maritime cooperation, agriculture, fintech, and cultural exchange. In an interview with Indian media, Marcos reaffirmed his administration's commitment to defending Philippines' sovereignty amid Indo-Pacific tensions. Marcos also addressed Indian and Filipino business leaders in Bengaluru, urging firms to bet on the Philippines for its young, skilled workforce and strategic Indo-Pacific location. The visit concluded with a foreign policy speech where Marcos called on democracies to uphold international law and protect the global commons.
Still on President Marcos, he finally explains why the issue of online gambling was not mentioned in his State of the Nation address last week. We have the details when the big story returns. Keep it here.
The big story is back with President Bongbong Marcos finally addressing the absence of online gambling in his fourth State of the Nation address. In his latest podcast, the chief executive explained that's because his administration is yet to craft a clearer policy on the matter. For that, he plans to gather stakeholders, including members of the clergy. Mr. Marcos also stresses online gambling should not be compared to pogos, which have been linked to criminal activities.
We still have to form the policy on what we are going to do about online gambling. And to this end, I have already started to organize to convene a conference of those who are all the stakeholders. We are talking about marami tayong naririnig from the CBCP. So, sama natin sila. What is the problem we're trying to solve? What we're trying to solve is that hindi malubog sa utang ang hindi naman wala namang kaya, pero napapasubo dahil sa sugal. Mga bata na natututo magsugal. Let's focus on that. Paano natin patitigilin yan? These are the things that we're going to examine, and we will come up with a plan to make sure that we address the problem.
Meantime, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is finalizing new rules requiring e-wallets to impose stricter controls on online gambling payments. The measures include biometric checks, daily transfer limits, time-based restrictions, and tools for users to set personal spending caps. Globe CFO Carlo Puno said GCash will roll out new features such as self-exclusion options and customizable top-up limits. Users can even choose to block gaming activities temporarily or permanently. For its part, Maya, as a mobile payment service, says it is also committed to help regulate online gambling addiction. Tof Rada, head of Maya's corporate affairs, said they will introduce added controls and friction. And now to make sense of this, we're joined by former DICT USEC for Cybersecurity, Jeffrey D. Good evening and welcome to the big story, Mr. D.
Good morning. Good evening.
It's okay. Several burning issues confronting the online space. First, online gambling. What are your recommendations on how to deal with this? Is regulation enough?
Okay, in terms of online gambling, there are two kinds. Let's first clarify that. One is the official online gambling. They might not be legal here in the Philippines, but they're legal elsewhere. So they're usually an application that you can download via your app store, or they could be a website that is officially, you can play games inside these websites. The other ones are really, really illegal, and they use platforms like Facebook. For example, Isabong. They use other platforms, like they even use TikTok, etc. When it comes to gambling on known applications and websites, that can easily be either blocked using, there is a NTC memorandum circular that was issued around January 30 of this year, and it uses a hierarchical protective DNS from the national government to the telcos. And from there, as long as it is lawfully mandated, so we need a law to mandate that we can block, then these these websites can be blocked, and no Filipino will be able to access them. The
You mean you
second
need a law? Did you say you need a law for this?
Yes, because we cannot just block websites without an explicit word order right now. So we need a law that can fast track this. Because if you need a court order, that takes a lot of time.
The illegal ones, though, Jeff, it's so weird to call you just Jeff. But anyway, the illegal ones are more of a problem because, they're illegal precisely because of that. And even
Correct.
they're outside the purview of the law. How hard is it really and how plausible is it to keep playing whack-a-mole with these illegal gambling providers?
Well, using NTC Memorandum Circular 1 series of 2025, it would be easy to block them as long as a legal order was issued to the ICT, the Department of Information Communication Technology, and the National Telecommunications Commission to block them. However, the other problem is the ones that are using social media platforms. ISAB is one of them. Now, that is very, very difficult to track, and that's very difficult to block. There has been discussions with GCash at that time and PayMaya and some wallets to limit the throughput and the frequency of small payments going through a particular person. And I think they already are implementing that. Because if you're implementing illegally, an illegal game that has no website,
Right, right.
number one, you can block it because there's no website on it. So maybe we can track them by seeing the frequency of small payments going through. We're talking about seconds going through a particular wallet owner. For example, me, Jeff, if I'm operating an Isabong, you would see me receiving millions in just a few minutes, in just 1 minute per 2 minutes.
Of 10 peso or
That's correct.
small amount.
Small bill, amounting from as small as 10 pesos to as high as a few thousand pesos.
Is anyone doing that? Because as we know, of course, e-sabong, online sabong has been illegal now, but we know for a fact that a lot of people are still playing. So how plausible...
Or even watching while Congress is in session.
Yeah.
including that. And there's plausible deniability in that case. And, kaya ba ng wallets from their end?
Yes. Of course, before they do that, there are two things that this can happen. Either they volunteer to do it, or BSP or some other regulatory agency mandates the wallets to do this. We're talking it's impossible to eradicate them 100%. We're just making it hard for them to make money out of these illegal transactions.
Shouldn't the telcos have flagged this even before? I mean, they were receiving, I guess it was a business, they were earning from it, but the suspicious activity should have been flagged long ago.
I can't speak for the telcos though. What I know is that these wallets are different from the telcos. So when it comes to blocking illegal gambling
e-wallets then.
For blocking of illegal gambling sites, usually the DICT receives requests from the NBI, the PNP, ACG. And once they give a request, we ask all three telcos to block them. And let me go back again to what I previously said. If you use NTC Memorandum Circular 1 of 2025, it becomes easier because it's just the ICT control technology where it will feed down to the telcos. Kasi dati, it takes us 2 weeks to implement a block. By then, they already have like multiple sites up.
Well, Jeff, baka lalo tong lumaganap kasi meron tayong konektadong Pinoy bill and it's at risk of lapsing into law already. You flagged certain points, loopholes that you would want to close. Can you go over it very quickly?
Yes, for the Konektadong Pinoy, there are two main issues. First, I'll touch on the national security issue. If you look at the current version of Konektadong Pinoy, and let me just be be very frank. I supported the first version of it. I supported sharing of infrastructure. However, the current form kasi forces all data transmission industry players, which are the new term under this bill for all telcos and all internet service providers. There are more than 700 of them around the country, to interconnect and to share each other's infrastructure. Now, let me just be clear about this. All ISPs are not created equal. There was already many instances when the border gateway protocols, which I will not discuss, but there are many instances where entire internets were down for entire countries because of a misconfigured border gateway protocol routing protocol. And so, if you cannot control each of these telcos and how they configure their own network, and then you interconnect them, it becomes a nightmare. It becomes more difficult to configure. Number two, you are forcing people to connect. As we speak, there is a Chinese telecommunications firm that had already built approximately 15,000 kilometers of fiber network in northern Luzon as of December 2024. If you now, because of this bill, if it lapses into law, the bill says you have no reason to deny them connection to your backbone, and if you do, you will be penalized. There are two questions here. The first question is, there is regulation from the US that you cannot connect your submarine cables to US if you're connecting also to China. And second, we need to monitor how these networks work, because Northern Luzon is very strategic to our national security. So, yun yung first. Second, the bill kasi does not seem to recognize the real problem of high internet cost. The real problem of high internet costs includes landlords and malls, because these telcos have to lease. And when you lease, at least, sa mga malls, when you go to a mall, magkakabit ka lang ng isang telco unit, they'll actually have to lease. And then, another telco comes in, you'll lease again. If you really want to share, don't attack the telcos to share. Also include these landlords, these mall operators, create shared infrastructure so that any telco can just connect with their conduits inside the building. Diba, you can go some subdivision. Sometimes the subdivision only offers Globe. Sometimes the subdivision only offers PLDT. Your condo only offers Converge or only offers Sky Cable. Diba? It's very prevalent in our country.
Okay, so Jeff, what would be
these issues are not being addressed there.
top 3 recommendations right now for this bill?
Well, number one, we have to go back to the drawing board and revisit the first draft vis-a-vis this final draft. So the president is to veto before this lapses into law, and then we need to draft
when? When will it lapse into law?
To be honest, I don't know when it was transmitted to the president. According to Secretary Henry, this was already with the president's table as of last week, and so 30 days yan. It might lapse into law anytime in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Well, we're afraid we've run out of time, but we will continue this conversation dahil wow, you opened our eyes to the trouble that may occur. Thank you so much, Jeffrey D., former DICT Undersecretary for Cybersecurity. And before we go, we have this breaking news. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says he is not giving up on his application for ombudsman. That's after a report that the Judicial Bar Council has disqualified him for the post due to a pending case. For the details of this story, visit the social media platforms of One News PH and One PH.
All right, and so we've run out of time clearly again, and more breaking news on a Friday.
But remember, Pawi, parang ikaw ang attorney natin eh. 8:30. Ay, naging 31 na bigla.
Kailangan mag-comply. Hindi pwede i-archive. All right, and that's it for the Big Story this week. Thanks so much for watching.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We're back here Monday at 7:30 p.m. Have a good night and enjoy the weekend, everyone.